Welcome back. It feels like every single day there's some new, wild headline about AI. It's going to revolutionize this, it's going to change that. The hype is just deafening. But what's actually happening on the ground, inside real companies? Well, today, we're going to cut through all that noise and get to the reality of AI adoption. And we're using a brand new global survey from McKinsey to do it. Okay, let's get into it.
So, first things first, adoption. According to this report, a massive 88% of organizations are now regularly using AI in at least one part of their business. Just think about that. That's almost 9 out of every 10 companies. AI isn't some futuristic idea anymore. It's officially become a standard tool in the toolbox. But hang on, that brings up a really fascinating question, right? If pretty much everyone is using AI, why hasn't it completely turned the business world upside down? Why aren't we seeing these huge, earth-shattering transformations everywhere we look? That's the big puzzle we're going to try and solve today. To really get that puzzle, we first have to appreciate the incredible speed of this whole adoption boom. We're not talking about a slow, gradual change here. This has been a full-on explosion. The momentum is just wow. And what's so wild about this is just how fast it's all happened. A couple of years ago, that adoption number was at 78%. A 10-point jump to 88% in that short a time? That's huge. It really shows you how fast AI went from being a niche tech to something you just have to have, no matter what industry you're in.
And things are not slowing down one bit. The next wave is already hitting the shore, AI agents. Now, these aren't just your regular tools that spit out an answer when you ask a question. No, these are sophisticated systems that can actually plan and then execute complex, multi-step tasks all by themselves. Seriously, think of them like autonomous digital colleagues.
And look at this. Companies are jumping on this train, and they're jumping on fast. A combined 62% of organizations are already playing around with or actively scaling these AI agents. So even though this tech is brand spanking new, the curiosity is just off the charts.
So, okay, the adoption numbers look amazing and the tech is moving at light speed. But now we got to pull back the curtain, because this is where the hype runs smack into reality, and it's where we find the biggest roadblock for most companies today. And this core problem, it actually has a name: the scaling gap. The best way to think about it is like this. It's the difference between buying a super high-performance race car and, actually knowing how to drive it to win a race. A lot of companies have the shiny new car, but right now, it's just kind of sitting in the garage.
And this chart just lays the problem out perfectly. Look at these numbers. A full 32% of companies are still just experimenting, and another 30% are only in what you'd call a pilot phase, and fully scaled across the entire organization, a tiny 7%.
Let's just boil that down to make it even clearer. This puts it in super stark contrast. Nearly 2/3, 62%, of companies using AI are stuck in those very early stages. They're running little tests, doing small trials, but they haven't made the leap to making AI a core part of how they do business.
And here it is. Here's the bottom line impact of that scaling gap. A shockingly low 39% of companies say they've seen any effect on their overall profits from using AI, which means for the other 61%, this whole revolution, it just hasn't paid off. Not yet, anyway.
This quote from the report's author, Alex Singla, just nails it. He says, AI use is broadening, but scale still lags. Most have not yet productized use cases, redesigned workflows, or built the platforms and guardrails needed to run them at scale. Basically, companies have the tools, but they haven't done the really hard work of changing their business to get the value out of them. So, if most companies are stuck in the mud, how are some of them breaking through? Well, let's take a look at the playbook of this small elite group the report calls the AI high performers. What are they doing differently? Turns out it's not one single trick. It really boils down to a totally different mindset, and it covers 3 big areas. First, they think way bigger. Second, they completely rewire how work actually gets done. And third, they make sure leadership is driving the change from the very, very top. Okay, so first up, thinking bigger. These high performers are a whopping 3.6 times more likely to be aiming for a total business transformation, not just, making a few small tweaks to what they're already doing. And they do that by fundamentally rewiring their operations. They're nearly 3 times more likely to build brand new, better processes around AI from the ground up, instead of just trying to jam it into an old, outdated system. And this is so crucial. None of this happens in a vacuum. It needs buy-in from the top.
And in these top companies, senior leaders are 3 times more likely to be the ones actively championing AI, making it a C-suite priority, not just another IT project.
And there are a few other things that set them apart. They focus on growth and innovation, not just trying to save a few bucks. They use AI in way more parts of their business. They put their money where their mouth is, too, spending over 20% of their digital budget on AI. Oh, and get this, they are 3 times more likely to be on that cutting edge, already scaling up those AI agents we talked about earlier.
Okay, so we know what success looks like now, but what does all of this mean for the future? Let's dig into the big questions that are on everyone's mind, like what's going to happen to the workforce and how are companies managing all the risks?
Well, when it comes to jobs, there is absolutely no agreement. None. As you can see, experts and business leaders are all over the map on this one. About a third think their workforce will shrink, but a solid 13% think it's actually going to grow. And the biggest group? They think nothing's going to change at all. The future here is really, really unwritten.
And this is where we get this fascinating paradox, because while some jobs might be at risk, the demand for people with actual AI skills is just exploding. Companies, especially the big ones, are hiring data engineers and AI software specialists like crazy. The very nature of work is shifting, creating new needs just as some old ones start to fade away.
Which really leaves us with one final critical question to think about. This is the question that separates the 62% of companies stuck in that pilot phase from that elite group of high performers. Is your organization using this incredible technology just to get a little bit better at what you already do? Or are you using it to become something completely different? Because the answer to that question might just decide who wins the next decade.